Alright, so in the previous section, I covered static analysis. I also talked a little bit about dynamic analysis as well. And so but again, just before we do any kind of analysis here, make sure the Wi-Fi is turned off on your. Alright, so on your virtual machine here. Otherwise, I do not want anything leaking. Kindly. And then we'll just cat cute videos of cat. We'll just do that. Alright. And yeah, can't see what's so. Alright. With static, we got an idea of what the current malware sample is gonna do. Right. We saw it in strings. Right, we saw it through how we saw it through Malcat's rules that it fired off when it was looking at the sample, same with Kappa, using his own set of rules as well and mapping it to minor attack. Now we are going to do dynamic analysis, and dynamic is motion, right? We're analyzing the malware while it is moving, so we ran it. Right? We're going to be running malware in the environment here. So just an FYI, if you haven't turned off the Wi-Fi on your virtual machine, 1000% do it right now, kindly, before you even proceed with this next step. Right, we'll still have snapshots that we can pull back to, and it'll be like nothing happened. So one tool that I will use is Procmon. Procmon is a tool by the folks at Microsoft for the system kernels tool. Let's go ahead and there's Procmon. We are going to set it with some filters. Well, once we run it, you see, there's so many things running, right? Procmon records everything. Well, we don't want that. Alright, so I'm going to have it. Alright, come on, pause right there for me. No, I just need you to pause. Alright. I'm going to filter. Right. We already know what the file name is, so it's going to be Raton. So process name is Raton. Boom. Yes, added. And it'll clear the events here for us to then look at the sample. I'm also going to be running System Informer here. As you can see, we're running lots of things. Alright, System Informer is what we're running as well. We also have Microsoft Edge for whatever reason. Not exactly malicious, but you know. And obviously we have PowerShell that is running. I'm just going to go ahead and close it. Here. And then a tool that we are going to use is something called FakeNet. Alright, this is a network emulator. Right, it mimics traffic. And so what we're going to do is from right here, I'm going to click on FakeNet. From there, we can now start to run the malware in our sandbox, in our virtual machine malware analysis environment. So I'm going to set it to run, and then I'm going to run the sample. And something what you want to do is always run as administrator. I did that before, and sometimes it just doesn't detonate, and I need some of the information that I need. So let's go ahead and run as. So you know, I'll wait for an update. Dep. and we can see what it's doing here. It creates files, create basic informational file, yes. And it wants to open this link, your Microsoft Edge. I'm going to say no to that, and where's FakeNet? Fail to get. Alright. And yep. Case, I'm just going to close it. Again, just to be clear, you pick I do not have the Wi-Fi turned on. Right, so we're good on that. We already know that this in sysformat it informs that Rotan is running the malware sample. And we're gonna go back into FakeNet, right? It has recorded the traffic that we need for our analysis. And then we can go ahead and take a look. Alright. Apologize for the background noise, possibly. Now, there's some TCP. Let's look at destination. Connect test.txt file. Didn't seem like everything is out of the ordinary. We can look at statistics. Let's go ahead and look at conversations. Right. Doesn't look like anything is out of the ordinary, but in that case, I'm going to be looking for DNS. IP who is. Right. So again, so we can already see that there is a domain that it has since called out to. And if we cross-reference a virus total here, we can see that is in the detections, right? So basically virus total flagged it as malicious in detections. And so we go back to our malware analysis lab here. We can also see that geolocation, request to geolocation, as well as MSFT connect test, IP info IO and IP API. We didn't access any of these domains or these websites here. So it, again, when we looked at it during static analysis, we had already identified that it wanted information about the computer and the endpoint here. So with that, you know, I have an idea what this is going to do. I don't need to look at it any further. I'm going to just go ahead and revert to a snapshot. Now we're turned off. Apologize, I sometimes do not have enough RAM, but I am doing it on my laptop here. But yeah, it'll boot up. And then we're good. Alright, but once we get back on here, Alright. Yeah. Alright. Malware sample is gone. We're good. And in the next, well, now we'll move on to the next section.